There are tons of folks who have played Elvis Presley over the years, but there are very few who have actually portrayed the king of rock and roll well. The actors who have portrayed this late legend may be a dime a dozen, but only a tiny fraction have managed to capture the true essence of the man in their performances. Join us as we take a look back at some of the very best and worst actors who have played Elvis Presley on screen. Austin Butler, Elvis, 2022. Director Baz Luhrmann's Elvis biopic just premiered at Cannes in May and is slated for a U.S. release on June 24, 2022. So far, the highly anticipated movie has received rave reviews from critics who are citing Butler's performance as being the film's strongest asset. While we haven't seen the film yet, Butler's portrayal of Elvis is said to be almost spot on. Plus, he does a lot of his own singing throughout the film. Critics are also praising Butler for his convincing depiction of Presley's later pill-hazed, darker years, and that's quite a feat to pull off. It's one thing to embody the king in his prime, but it's quite another to channel him effectively throughout his lower points as well. Tyler Hilton, Walk the Line. Hilton's role in this Johnny Cash biopic was a bit understated because the film was all about cash. As such, everyone else who showed up in the flick was basically thrown into the mix to add a bit of authenticity to the musical period piece. That being said, there is one pivotal scene featuring the hip gyrating rock star that has been argued over extensively, seeing as how it's been deemed somewhat problematic. In it, the man in black starts knocking back handfuls of pills after seeing Elvis do it. The pills the two youth-corrupting musicians took were commonly used so they could get from show to show without having to take any extra time. Obviously, this little cheat code eventually became a huge problem for both musicians. The actor who played Elvis, Tyler Hilton, has been a professional singer-songwriter since 2000. As far as his acting career goes, in addition to playing Presley in Walk the Line, he's also been in shows like One Tree Hill and His Wives and Daughters, and in films like Charlie Bartlett and Christmas on the Bayou. David Keith, Heartbreak Hotel. In this absurd fictional 1988 comedy, after a single mom with two kids get hit by a car and is hospitalized, her teenage son and his band drive out to Cleveland in a pink Cadillac to kidnap Elvis as a birthday present for his injured mother. After nabbing the star, Elvis is taken back to the boarding house the mother owns. At first, Elvis and the boy don't get along, but in time, they become friends. By the end of the film, Elvis and the boy's band play the song Heartbreak Hotel at the high school talent show. Was this a good movie? Rotten Tomatoes suggests it was a bit of a stinker, but you'll have to watch and be the judge of that for yourself. Regardless, David Keith's portrayal of Elvis was pretty golden. Before we tell you more about the best and worst of Elvis on screen, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Michael Shannon, Elvis and Nixon. In this film, neither actor really looks like the figure they're playing, but that's okay since it's more of a satire based upon the famous picture taken of the real Nixon and Elvis decades ago. Shannon does his best to get the look down pat, and to a degree he accomplishes that adequately. But what makes his performance so entertaining is his attempt at capturing all of Elvis's little idiosyncrasies and eccentricities. Is it an accurate portrayal? Probably not, but it's still fairly amusing. Radio Times praised Shannon's acting, calling him, quote, an enjoyable left-field choice as a jaded, increasingly alienated Presley. Bruce Campbell, Bubba Ho-Tep, cheesiness. Harvey Keitel, Finding Graceland. This film is all about an eccentric drifter who claims to be the real Elvis years after allegedly staging his death. After hitching a ride with a young man, the two find themselves on a cross-country road trip en route to Memphis. While the movie wasn't well received with critics, Keitel's performance as an Elvis imposter was memorable, to say the least. Kurt Russell, Elvis, 1979. This film, directed by John Carpenter, features one of the absolute best Elvis performances of all time. Russell threw himself into the role and nailed it. He had the voice down almost perfectly and managed to imitate Presley's mannerisms, movements, and swagger to a T. This wasn't the only time he played Presley either. He briefly took on the role in the 2001 film 3,000 Miles to Graceland alongside Kevin Costner, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette. Though to be fair, in that movie he's just a guy in an Elvis costume who attempts to pull off a casino heist in Vegas. Michael St. Gerard, Elvis, 1990 TV series. This wasn't the only time Gerard played Elvis, as he briefly portrayed him in the 1999 Jerry Lee Lewis film Great Balls of Fire. The 13-episode series aired on ABC in 1990 before being canceled due to low ratings. The series was later edited into a 4-hour miniseries called Elvis: The Early Years. Elvis voice impersonator Ronnie McDowell provides the singing voice for Gerard throughout the series. Gerard, much like many of the stars we've discussed, had the look that defines the way most people want to appear when impersonating Presley. He had a perfect baby face and classic charm that made him the ideal casting. Jack White, Walk Hard: The Dewey Cox Story. Walk Hard, as you might recall, was a fictional biopic comedy film about an early rock and roll star played by John C. Reilly. It drew heavy inspiration from and lampooned films like Walk the Line and Ray. Throughout Cox's nitty-gritty musical journey, he comes across other notable musicians like Bob Dylan, Jerry Lee Lewis, Conway Twitty, Hank Williams, and Elvis Presley. We're not going to lie, while we know this movie is supposed to be satire, Jack White's portrayal of Elvis was perhaps one of the most spot-on depictions of the king in film history. In his brief scene, the former White Stripes rocker performs in character on stage alongside Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper before Dewey gives his first concert performance. Now it's time to hear from you. Who do you think has given the best Elvis Presley performance on screen? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content. By the way, if you haven't joined Facts First as a member yet, be sure to look below this video and click the join button. By becoming a paid member of Facts First, you'll get access to exclusive video content that you won't find anywhere else. This includes some of our more mature content that isn't suitable for public audiences, which includes topics like Hollywood actresses who posed for Playboy and some of the steamiest moments in movie history. Plus, you can enjoy these videos completely ad-free. Our biggest fans will notice they also get badges next to their name when they leave comments on our videos. We pay special attention to comments from our members, and so do other viewers. So if you want exclusive content from Facts First or inside access to discussions with other community members, click the join button to get started for just $4.99. There are hours of members-only videos waiting for you, with new videos added every month. And we're actively working on bringing even more features to help fans like you connect with other members and get more of your favorite content. Just click join, and we'll see you inside the membership tab.